Hello and welcome to Rebecca Assimilates. So, today we are going to be thinking about and taking into our minds and really trying to understand what would be best for a writer to do with our skins. Should we have thicker skins or thinner skins to survive the world that we have chosen to live in? So, writers, we're humans, we have feelings, like all professionals, where you put a whole lot of you into what you create. When the person that you create it for, that you really truly believe, you've created something that they will really love, that they need this, you've made it all for them. If they then decide that it's all right, it's not great, that really hurts. Okay, so it's like chefs. So say they've produced a dish. They created it. It came from them. They have spent a whole lot of time deciding what ingredients go in the dish, what temperature the dish should be cooked at, what temperature it should be served at, what amounts of things should go in it. They've, put so much time into it, creating it for the consumer that they will believe will choose to eat that dish. It's all for them, okay? So once they've done this and they're very excited and someone's chosen it from the menu, it's their person, they've made it for them, this wonderful meal that they have spent months, maybe years creating for them. They're eating it and the chef's watching and they're like, oh, so excited. And then the person who's eating it, it's not the reaction the chef wants. They've eaten it, they've cleared their plate, but it wasn't like, it wasn't amazing. It was just, shoulder shrug. Yeah, might order it again, might not, might try something else next time. I don't know, didn't blow me away. Well, it's hard to take. Also, I don't know, maybe a week or two later or a month or two later after the chef has created their dish and it's been in the restaurant for some time, it's been listed on the menu, some people have chosen it, some haven't, there's been some feedback. Maybe a review comes out of the dish that they have created, written by a reviewer, someone who tries a lot of different dishes and has a lot of opinions on these dishes and what they should and shouldn't be, but they do have, they've got knowledge in the area, so it's kind of okay. But their review's not good. It's either completely like, oh, it sucked, or it could be like, yeah, it was all right, but there were some ingredients the chef chose that I just don't think were the right kind of ingredients. Or maybe the whole thing just wasn't quite listed in the part of the menu that it should have been. The chef didn't quite get that right. They didn't quite target the area that they should have. And, it's hard because once something like that happens, you carry it with you. It's hard to not let it imprint in your mind, and it clings to you, and then it will sabotage you next time you have another go at something different, or you're trying to improve what you've done before. It's just very hard. And even if, that one bad review or that one bad comment, it could have been surrounded by like 10, 20, hundreds of quite great, good, positive comments, and they are lovely. And yeah, they give you a spring in your step and they do give you a bit of encouragement, but there is something about one negative comment that will just really just be so much bigger than 100 good ones. I don't know how, but we keep the negative stuff with us. It's just what human beings do. It's our species. We can't help it. So back to writing. The writers group that I have chosen, my local writers group that I go to, when I take things there, the thing I like about my writers group is that you don't have to stand up and read out loud. You take copies of it, and then the people at the group will sit there and they will read it. And it does mean that obviously the people who are reading it aren't necessarily going to be like your target audience. They're not going to be my target audience. They're not going to be my reader, and I have to remember that when I get feedback. But I'm sitting in silence while they're all scrutinising what I've written, and it's kind of a hard moment to get through. And there is something that I do that I find helps, and I do it every time. And it is that in that silence in my head, over and over and over and over again, I'm going, it's not mine, it's not mine, it's not mine. I bought it here for a friend. It's not mine. I have no emotional attachment to it whatsoever. It's not mine. It doesn't matter what people say. It doesn't affect me in any way because it's not mine. It's not mine. Okay, so that actually does quite help me. I'm sure everyone has their own different techniques. Please, let me know what yours are. When we get rejection, it really does sting. And I haven't got to the place where I'm ready to try to send my manuscript off to people and places and organisations yet. So I haven't got to that point, but I have heard that getting the rejections and the rejections and the rejections really hurts. So that's going to be a very difficult time in my life when that happens, but it hasn't happened yet. But there is a quote that I read about that stage that has always stayed with me, which is so lovely when something positive stays with you. And that is that for every rejection that you get, be glad, because that rejection is one rejection closer to you actually being accepted and wanted by a person or an organisation that wants to publish your story. So that's good. That's nice and positive. I hope that stays with you too. Should our skin be thick or thin? Should we toughen ourselves up in order to prevent ourselves from feeling the pain of rejection and critique, even if it is, like positive critique to try and help us get better? Author Chuck Wendig, who he's written many books and a lot of writerly survival guides. And he also has his Terrible Mind blog, which I have to say has got me through some tough writing times. He has a quote on the subject, which I found on his blog. Have a thick skin. Don't just be a raw nerve squirming out there, or every hit is going to feel like the apocalypse. I feel like I don't really need to add much more to that. On the flip side, I have another quote here from Veronica Roth, author of many, many books, probably most well known for her Divergent trilogy. Okay, so it's quite like a long quote. Please get comfortable. I am a sensitive person. I have a thin skin. And while that makes me have to stop watching perfectly good TV shows and makes me worry about things I can't control and makes other people think I'm a little ridiculous, it also allows me to cry with other people when they tell me the bad things that have happened to them, and to understand at least a little what it feels like to be in situations I have never actually been in, and to have my emotions swayed by fiction, just like they were when I was a child. My skin is thin and it is integral to who I am. And I think it makes me a better writer than I would be without it. That's quite an interesting point, I think. If we were to make our skin thicker, would we then be blocking out all of the emotions that we actually need to experience and get through and survive and live through and use, the silver lining of awful situations, use in our writing to make our writing more positive and more real? Maybe positive's not the right word. More powerful and more real. Maybe we need to feel these things. I need to know what you think really on this subject. I need to know what your thoughts are on what I've said and what we're thinking about for today. Do you think as a writer you need thick skin? Do you think you need it to survive? Have you used thick skin to survive? Has your skin got thicker? Or, in doing this, do you think that we might be slightly hindering ourselves to the emotional depth of our writing? It's a difficult one, isn't it? I mean, skin with a filter, so that, I don't know, it'd have to be a really clever filter to sort of decide what should and shouldn't come through, or halfway skin, medium skin, skin with a dimmer switch, you know, like just like, I don't know where it would be, maybe like at the back of your neck. I'm thinking that's quite a handy, convenient place for it to be, so you can like turn it up and make your skin thicker when you feel like you need to have thicker skin, when, you know, oh, times are a bit tough and I'm just going to turn this up, I'm not ready to cope with things right now. Or when you feel like something, there's something you can learn and absorb from an awful situation, just turn it back down a little bit so you can let it all in. I feel like mine would always be cranked right up, but hey, multifunctional depth skin. Okay, every writer needs one. Let's do that. Let's get that. Thank you for somewhat working through this with me today and taking the time to think with me and consider and listen to my point of view on if our skin should be thick or thin. Please let me know what you think below, and I will see you very soon, hopefully.